So what we want to do today is you're going to create a building of some sort. And I'm going to go through the process. The first thing that you need to do is to build the, put things in place that you can use for the sides of the building and the windows. And you have to create these things beforehand. So before you have that perspective grid up, we need to make a few things and just put them along the side. So if you go to your shape tool and go to your rectangle tool, and then you can have, it doesn't matter to me if you have a stroke color, but I'm going to have no stroke color. And my fill color, I'm just going to make it, I'll give it, I'm going to make a green one here. This is going to be for my floor. It's going to be grass. So I'm just going to make a couple things here and then have these just ready to go. And then I'm going to change my color, and I'm going to make the sides of the building. And the sides of the building, you can make them whatever color you want. I'm just going to make these ones brown maybe. Oops. Make a new one here. And make this one brown. Alright. And I'm going to make a couple of these, so I'm going to go Command C to copy it, and then Command V to paste. I just made like a few copies of that. And then I am going to make some windows. I'm going to put these windows over on this side. Alright, and then I'm going to go over to here and let's put what we want to do here is put a gradient on this so it looks like a window. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to my gradient tool window, and gradient, and I'm going to click. So I went window and then gradient if you don't have it over on the right. And then I'm going to click here and it gives it a gradient. And I would like this to be blue. So right here where you see the black little arrow thing on the bottom right of this gradient, you can double click on it. Window and then gradient. I would have to go over there and see what you did. So now you just click on the color that you want. So this makes it look more like a window. And then what we're going to do is copy this because you're going to need a bunch of windows. So Command C and then Command V. I'm just hitting Command V a bunch of times so I have a bunch of copies of it. Okay, now you can bring up the perspective grid. And now I'm going to go to the perspective selection tool, which is underneath the perspective grid. It's this one right here. So you click and hold and then let go, and you go to perspective selection tool. Alright, so up in this upper left corner here, this allows you to shift where you're putting things. So right here, the blue part of this is highlighted. That means that if you put anything over here, it's going to go on this blue side. If I click over here and make it orange, then you're going to be putting things in the orange, and then down here the green. So I'm going to start with the green. So I click on the green, and now with my perspective selection tool, I just click and move this thing right here. And then I can move this thing out wherever I want. And then I can take this one and move it over here to this side on the green. and move this path. Something like that. And then I want to go to my the blue side over here. So I click on the blue up here. And then I'm going to grab this and put it over here. This is going to be my siding. Alright, well I thought I had made another copy of this, but it doesn't look like I did. So I'll have to do that later. Alright, so on this side as well, I'm going to put some windows in. So on the blue side, I'm going to grab this window, maybe put it right there. I'm going to grab another one. And then you can just put these along wherever you want. So you can see that beforehand, you can build a door. You want to do everything beforehand, because watch what happens if I try to make something after the fact. Like if I go up to my rectangle tool and I try to make something, you can see that it makes it as if it was on the grid. It makes it all weird. So in order to get out of that, you have to go into the perspective grid tool and then click out of the perspective grid, then go back in and make whatever shape it is that you want. And I'm going to go back up to here and make another one of these. You can make doors, you can make windows, you can make whatever you want to make. And now I would have to go back into my perspective grid and then into my perspective selection. And then I'm going to go to the orange and move this over to there. And now I can grab some of these windows and put them over here. Oh, you know what happened? So this is a good example right here. What happened is that I made this square after I made the windows. So because of that, in my layers here, it's below those, so this covers it up. So I would need to put this down lower than that, and now you can see these. So if you're putting things up there and you can't see them, it's because they're behind the other thing on your layers, and you can just move them where you want to move them. Alright, so now I can move these into place. Alright, so I would like you, the assignment is that you make some sort of a building. This, what I just made, is very crude. I want you to take your time and make something really nice. If you have a street, you can put cars, you can put whatever you want to put there. Make the building, take your time. This tool is really nice. You can do a lot with it. And let's see here. I would like to show you the symbols part of it. So I think if we go into, let's see here, symbol libraries. Okay, so if you go to symbols, and if you don't have this up there, then go over to window and then symbols, and you'll get this box. And then in the bottom left it says symbols libraries menu. If you click on that, then you've got a whole bunch of stuff that you can put in here. So if I want flowers, for instance, I can go in here and look at all the different flowers, and I can start putting flowers in here. And you can make them bigger or smaller. So there's all this stuff, and then there is, you can go back into here. Like if I wanted to put a car in here, I think there's a car in this one. Oh, it's like a retro car, minibus. So we put a car out front. So there's a lot of these symbols that you can put in here. So mess around with those. But what I'd like you to do is just mess around with all this stuff and see what you can create using this tool. So remember, The last thing is that if you want to get out of the perspective grid tool, you have to be in the perspective grid tool, and then you go up and you wait till you get the little hand and you click here, and then this goes away. In order to get things to move once the perspective grid is on, then you need to be in the perspective selection tool. I would suggest making all of the things that you want to make beforehand, then putting your perspective grid tool up, then go into perspective selection, and then move everything where you want to move it. And if you want to add things, get out of your perspective grid tool, make the things you want to make, put them where you want to put them in your layers, and then you can start working on it again.